Now, the very appeal of open-world games is the freedom that they grant the player and the virtually limitless possibilities for developers to populate said worlds with unforgettable content. But sometimes, though, it's fair to say that developers go a teensy bit overboard by making their secrets so absurdly difficult or time-consuming to access that the end result is pure psychic anguish on the player's part. So let's take a look at them. As I'm Jules, this is WhatCulture.com, and these are 10 painful secrets in open-world games. Number 10. The Zodiac Spear, Final Fantasy 12. There are few video game secrets more agonizing than the Zodiac Spear in the original version of Final Fantasy 12. By far the strongest weapon in the game, it could only be obtained by players who didn't open 4 specific chests throughout the game, but with said chests giving no identification of their forbidden status, it's impossible to figure out without using a guide. And so many players speculate that Square Enix made the Zodiac Spear such a pain in the ass to find in order to sell more official strategy guides. For those who played through the game unaware that it had a missable ultimate weapon though, the realization, well, it was absolutely crushing. The blowback was significant enough that Square Enix ultimately made the Zodiac Spear much easier to obtain in the Zodiac Age remaster, though because they couldn't be too kind, they also nerfed the weapon so that it was no longer the strongest in the game. Cool. Number 9. The Secret Garden, Shadow of the Colossus. Shadow of the Colossus' secret garden is a hidden area in the game which can only be accessed by players with maximum stamina, requiring you first to have beaten the game 3 times. As thrilling as a game is, that is quite the committed time investment to reaching this secret garden, which can then be accessed by using your full stamina to climb a wall of moss near the Shrine of Worship. Keep continuing upward and eventually you'll reach the garden, a lush locale filled with fruit which the player can then shoot down and consume. However, this secret turns out to be literally painful for the protagonist Wanda, as the fruit is actually forbidden, given that each of them lowers your maximum health and stamina. The game director Fumito Ueda said that the intent of the secret garden's forbidden fruit is to return Wanda to a state of vulnerable humanity, compared to the fruit outside of the garden, which increases Wanda's health. It's a nice idea, but come on, really? Number 8. Vivienne's Death, The Witcher 3 Wild Hunt. Okay, well, get the tissues ready for this one. Now, several years ago, The Witcher 3 guest designer Philip Weber revealed that there was an undiscovered secret contained within the game, and it related to the character Vivienne from the Blood and Wine DLC. Weber later confirmed that the secret was located on Skellige and hinted that it goes quite a bit further than fans will expect. This led determined YouTuber xLetterless on a wild hunt to track down the secret, eventually discovering a devastating Easter egg by moving the in-game clock forward 7 years. You see, Vivienne is subject to a curse which progressively makes her look more and more like a bird, but in one of her side quests, the curse can be transferred to an egg, albeit with Vivienne's lifespan being reduced to just 7 more years as a result. With that, she goes off to live what remains of her life, but by winding the game clock forward 7 years using console commands, players who visit her in Skellige will find her corpse, having dropped dead precisely as Big G said she would. Number 7. Elton Brand, The Elder Scrolls 3 Morrowind. Okay, let's just say it loudly and proudly. Screw Morrowind's Elton Brand. Just screw it. The Elton Brand is an extremely powerful sword and quite arguably the best weapon in the base game, but obtaining this top secret blade is such a biblically silly pain in the arse that you might struggle to persuade yourself to bother. Firstly, you need to get the inferior Gold Brand sword during a questline, then become a vampire, then complete another quest, and then have exactly 11,171 gold on your person before talking to this character. After you've done that, you'll get the message, "Go to hell, Carolina," after which the Gold Brand will now be turned into the Elton Brand. Accessing this is such an all-timer faff, even those that poured hundreds, if not thousands of hours into Morrowind might consider it a poor use of their precious time on this earth. As for why the developers settled on you needing such a precise amount of gold, well, it's been suggested that 111-71 was the greatest victory of Morrowind writer Mark Nelson's favourite basketball team, the Duke Blue Devils. Given the sword itself is named after NBA player Elton Brand, that actually seems quite probable. Number 6. The Disarmament Ending, Metal Gear Solid 5, The Phantom Pain. Pain is even in the title of the 5th Metal Gear Solid game, so don't say Hideo Kojima didn't warn you here. All the same, shortly after Metal Gear Solid 5, The Phantom Pain's release, the presence of a secret ending was data mined in which Big Boss declared that all nuclear weapons around the world have been destroyed. The catch? Well, this cutscene only triggered if every single player destroyed the arsenal of nuclear weapons in their forward operating base. Ingeniously and infuriatingly, legitimate access of this ending was basically held held hostage as a result of humanity's very real inability to collectively lay down their damn dirty nukes. Even accepting the comparatively minuscule stakes of a video game compared to real life, it was simply too much to ask all players to do the right thing in order to unlock the game's secret ending. Though a glitch in the PC version of the game accidentally triggered the secret ending back in 2018, it was only in 2020 that the PS3 version of the game's nuke counter briefly reached 0, unveiling the ending legitimately for the very first time. Number 5. Dragonlord Placidusax, Elden Ring. Dragonlord Placidusax is certainly one of the toughest bosses in Elden Ring, though in the very least he's not a mandatory foe. Yet despite the dragon's massive stature, finding him is just a massive ball ache, before we even talk about defeating the big lug. In fact, few are likely to stumble across him organically, so well hidden is he. First, you need to warp to beside the Great Bridge Site of Grace, head back through the temple you visited earlier, and find a difficult-to-spot ledge at the bottom of a floating platform. From here, follow the rocky path forward, walk up to an empty grave, and press the Lie Down prompt, which will trigger a cutscene and transport you to the epic boss arena to battle. Trust From Software, of all folk, to hide this sublimely cinematic, gorgeously designed, and ultra-challenging boss fight in a place where most players haven't got a hope in hell of finding it. It's infuriating, yes, but a tiny bit hilarious too. Number 4. The Doom Challenge, Dying Light 2. Once players got wind that Dying Light 2 had a secret Doom-themed combat challenge hidden within it, there was much excitement. But given the migraine-inducing amount of busy work required to unlock the level, you might have been left cursing its very existence. Firstly, you need to have unlocked the VNC Towers elevator in the mid-game mission broadcast, which will allow you to access a hidden elevator that will take you to a decidedly Doom-looking hub area. From here, you're tasked with collecting 5 black rubber ducks hidden around the sprawling open world, each of them devilishly concealed from sight and near impossible to find organically without a guide. But the busy work isn't quite over yet though. You then need to place the ducks in the hub area and also connect a series of cables to the room to form a pentagram. Only then will a shotgun spawn in the room and load a version of Doom's first ever level, E1M1, where you're given 3 minutes to battle enemies in a pixelated art style. I mean, it's a fun Easter egg and all, but getting those damn rubber ducks is such anguish, especially if you were trying to do it on release when the community hadn't yet figured out their exact locations. Number 3. Imperial Mausoleum, Goat Simulator 3. The only thing more painful than Goat Simulator 3's intentionally janky controls, well, it's that damn Imperial Mausoleum Easter egg. The quest in question simply asked the player to use force to play a march, with the more perceptive players among us realizing that the game is asking you to play Star Wars' Imperial March on a trio of bells at the top of the mausoleum. But that's not too difficult to figure out. However, the maddening challenge comes with actually playing the bells in the correct order to deliver an accurate rendition of the iconic tune. Even if you're a Star Wars fan and musically inclined, this is much trickier than expected, and if you're neither, well, forget about it. Ultimately, many players resorted to just looking up a video on YouTube to see the order in which the bells needed to be rung, in turn allowing you to unlock the Pride Saber 2.0, a 6-pronged lightsaber, because why the hell not? Whether it was worth the abject headache of trying to figure this secret out the hard way though, well, that's another matter entirely. Number 2. Signal Oscar Zulu, Fallout 3. Following the Oscar Zulu signal in Fallout 3 will almost certainly leave you wishing you never bothered, because the eventual outcome is absolutely soul-rending. After activating a relay tower located northeast of the Temple of the Union, a signal will be broadcast in which a man, Bob Anderstein, begs for medical assistance for his dying son. Anderstein adds that he and his family are taking refuge in a nearby drainage chamber, and if you heroically decide to try and help them, you'll get quite the heartbreaking surprise. Upon entering the sewer, you'll find a room containing 2 adult skeletons, as well as survival supplies, medical equipment, and toys for their child. Though the boy's skeleton is nowhere to be seen, so it's technically possible he survived, the implication is certainly much bleaker, that the boy died before assistance could arrive, and his parents perished in misery. Of all the messed up things that you can find scattered throughout the wasteland, this just might be the most upsetting on a purely visceral level. And number 1, the level 999 door, Tibia. And finally, iconic MMO Tibia first launched in 1997, and in 2005 a mysterious door appeared which could only be accessed by players who had reached the astoundingly high level of 999. Though it was a given that the door would transport players somewhere, precisely where remained unknown for an entire 12 years. And though the first player to actually reach level 999, Karsak, did so in 2016, he actually refused to reveal where the door took him, and so it fell to another player, Devonica, to also go through the door and spill the beans. Though Devonica initially tried to use his unique position to get donations from the outraged community, he did eventually live stream himself going through the door, revealing that it led to Schrodinger's Island, a small sandy island with a few NPCs and not much else. The community reaction to the deflating reveal was polarizing to say the least, with the lead project manager, Martin Egelzeder, later admitting that the team never expected a single player to reach level 999 and so never intended the door to be anything more than a tease. But per the unexpected enduring popularity of the game, the level 999 door became a mythic piece of lore in its own right, leading to inevitable frustration when it was basically a big, sand-filled nothing burger. Cheers. And there we go, my friends. Those were 10 painful secrets in open world games. I hope you enjoyed that, and please let me know what you thought about it down in the comments section below. As always, I've been Jules. You can go follow me over on Blue Sky, where I'm at RetroJ, but the O is a 0. Hope to see you over there. And I hope that you're taking care of yourself, my friends, because you are a massive ledge. Never forget that. As always, I've been Jules. You have been awesome, and I'll speak to you soon. Bye.